Hello jump enthusiasts. It's been a while since I've posted, or even posted my own jumps for that matter. I was hurt, track was out, winter was cold as balls, but behind the scenes, I've been focusing on my run-up. For all of last season, it was a 10-step approach, 3.5 meters widthways, and 19.1 meters lengthways. And during a competition, I'd probably move it a foot or two back during the comp. And because I've been on the same run-up or a similar run-up for so long, I've actually found some pretty cool stats. So bear with me while I nerd out for a little. Measuring the speed of my last 5 steps using frames per second, the first frame being toe off from my 5th step, and the last frame being the moment my foot was firmly planted in my takeoff. I found average training jumps would be around 78 frames per second. Good training jumps would be about 74 frames per second. My best training jumps were 70 to 72 frames per second, and my best competition jumps were all 67 to 68 frames per second. These might sound like minimal differences, but 10 frames per second ends up being like 0.2 of a second. That might be a little bit off, but this is basically just conclusive evidence on my end that the faster I'm moving in my last 5 steps, the higher the jump. Obviously that's paired with correct mechanics, lean, and all the other stuff, but speed is definitely my current issue. And it's honestly a concept every coach spouts, but it's hard to conceptualize without evidence. There's a few studies on this topic, measuring velocity of pro high jumpers during the run-up and takeoff. Most oftentimes the highest jumpers at competitions reaching higher velocities. I'll link one of those down below. But yeah, progressively overload your jump training by making your run-up faster each week or month or whatever. But anyway, back on track. I've moved my run up to a running start 5-step, and it's currently at 3.75 meters widthways and 9.7 meters lengthways. But it will be constantly going back, till I'm basically at 90% of my sprint in my approach. And then when that's the case, I'll probably make it a running 7-step and use that for the season till I feel comfortable to move to a 9-step. Kate's also doing something similar, except she's still at that point where speed isn't the entire focus. She's got a lot of mechanics she's working on her own. And you know, this is all because the old 10-step just became too short. And even when I did move the 10 steps back, it just kind of threw off my rhythm and my 5 last steps were still too cramped. So I might as well just start from the ground up and get it nice and long. This does mean I can't compare the times from my old jumps anymore, as now it takes longer for me to reach my takeoff point. This being because my 5 steps are now over 1.5 meters further back than they used to be. So that's the difference, it's huge. But I'm coming in with way more velocity and lean. Yeah. Well, I didn't actually talk a lot about the training that was going on in the back, but that's the entire concept. This training was just some of my training over the past 2 weeks. I recorded at all the sessions I jumped at, just obviously not all the jumps. And I was also doing 2 gym sessions a week, one being easy, one being high intensity. I don't actually think I filmed a high intensity session. And the at-home gym session was because we got done training too late one night. So, you know, no excuses, boys. Use human weights if you gotta. But yeah, these last jumps were a first session back using the bar at the track in over 2 months, could be 3, I really cannot recall. And I easily made it over 195, which I didn't record, but the 201s felt really doable. I've just had a niggle in my ankle the last week and it didn't feel comfortable going all out. So the workout was actually stopped at 6 jumps, but a couple of these attempts were really nice. Big heights to come. Cheers.